WWE Smackdown Shut Your Mouth was an exciting addition to the well-received Smackdown wrestling game series, and it featured a roster that would be the last to not feature a crop of future legends and Hall of Famers in the making. It's no secret that wrestling games that get released aren't necessarily intended on capturing the landscape of the WWE at that current time of release, more so meant to highlight the stars featured around WrestleMania season and the months leading up. However, if the game developers and WWE had the foresight to know what exactly they had their hands on in the talents that were debuting in the summer of 2002, I'm sure some exceptions would have been made to include some of these would-be legends. In this video, we're going to take a look at some names and mostly fresh faces that, had they been included, this WWE game could be remembered differently, as well as a few wrestlers who had been around but for one reason or another were not included into the game. 2002 was a massive year in terms of changes and transition for the WWE, so let's get started. Deacon Batista. Before he was the Animal, he was the Deacon. Batista would go on to become one of the biggest superstars in the business over the next decade, being remembered as one of the most polarizing stars of the Ruthless Aggression era, although not everyone remembers his stint as Reverend Devon's sizable disciple. This freakishly large man would first appear on television on the May 9th edition of Smackdown, and would eventually make his in-ring debut on June 27th in a tag team contest alongside Devon, competing against the team of Farouk and a young Randy Orton. Batista would remain a tag team competitor for most of the summer, as he would have his first singles match in August of that year. This singles match would be the catalyst for his separation from Devon, where he would soon after join the ranks of Evolution, and the rest is history. Batista didn't even make his on-screen debut until May, where the typical cutoff for determining the in-game roster tends to end at WrestleMania. This means while there's no reasonable expectation to include him in the game, he is one of those guys who was really beginning to hit his stride and come into his own right when the game was released and on the shelves. However, fellow rookie and another superstar in the making, Randy Orton, would make the cut for the game despite having his first televised match air on April 25th. Mere weeks before the first appearance of Deacon Batista, showing just how narrowly his inclusion here was missed, distinction not exclusive to him in this video. This character may have been insignificant at the time, but what he would evolve into is a guy that you couldn't keep out of the game in the next decade to come. John Cena. Widely considered by many as one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, John Cena would begin his journey on the main roster in the WWE in the summer of 2002. Cena would make a memorable splash in his debut, which occurred on the June 27th edition of SmackDown when he answered an open challenge set by Kurt Angle. Despite taking the loss, Cena left an impression. This would bring forth an initial wave of momentum that would keep the young prospect featured in pay-per-view matches against some big names like Chris Jericho in the singles sector, as well as crossing paths with Los Guerreros. Despite bursting onto the scene with a bang and quickly locking horns with established veterans on the roster, Cena arrived to the WWE just a little bit too late to be featured into the main game of that year, Smackdown Shut Your Mouth. Although, if you check into the sample models in the Wrestler Creation Suite, you'll find a prototype of the future legend ready for use. While including the soon-to-be Doctor of Thugonomics would have been positively received looking back retroactively, it's understandable why the developers took the route of adding him as a created wrestler template. In addition, the fact that he is not in this game does add its own bit of charm, as this is the last WWE wrestling game, Crush Hour doesn't count here, that would not feature the future champ, as John Cena would go on to make his WWE video game debut at WrestleMania 19 for the GameCube, going on to become the face of the company, making an appearance in every single WWE game since. David Flair. Okay, I'm entirely joking. David Flair was picked up by the WWF after the purchase of WCW. David Flair would spend his time in OVW and would only make a handful of appearances in the WWE. Though if you're enjoying the video, please help out the channel by leaving a like and subscribing for more content. Thanks. Chavo Guerrero. The member of the esteemed Guerrero wrestling family was no rookie by the time he arrived to the WWF during the Invasion angle, as he spent time on television familiarizing himself with the audience in WCW. While Chavo was an insignificant player in the grand scheme of the Invasion angle, after spending some time as a trainer on Tough Enough, his new direction upon his return to the active roster in 2002 would ignite his career into a memorable one amongst the tag team and cruiserweight divisions. His return would take place in April of 2002 on an episode of WWF Metal when he challenged for the cruiserweight title. While he would come up short here, This would foreshadow the next few years of his career as he was constantly contending in this division. Chavo would also tag alongside his uncle Eddie to form the legendary duo of Los Guerreros, becoming a tag team champion in the process. Considering his return came after WrestleMania and his position on the card as well as his frequency of the B shows of this time, Chavo would not be included into Smackdown Shut Your Mouth. Although his presence would have been well received, given there weren't many cruiserweights in the game, and any time you can add a reputable tag team into the game would enhance the experience in my opinion. In fact, Chavo and Eddie would actually go on to win the tag team titles at Survivor Series 2002, just 4 days after the game was released. Jamie Noble. Jamie Noble is one of those names that the more time passes, his time as an active performer with the company is viewed in a more endearing light. Oddly enough, Jamie Noble would spend over 7 years as an active wrestler with the WWE, though he has only appeared in one game as a playable character, that being Raw 2. Jamie Noble made his on-screen debut in June of 2002. Much like Chavo Guerrero, Jamie Noble was quickly thrust into the Cruiserweight Championship picture, as he would challenge for and win the title in less than a month after making his first appearance, where he would lock up with the likes of Billy Kidman, the Hurricane, Tajiri, and Rey Mysterio. Jamie Noble's trailer trash gimmick would run throughout the duration of this stint with the company, and he is another wrestler whose model can be found in the wrestler creation suite of the game. I've already touched on the light cruiserweight division of this game, but Jamie Noble was in fact the cruiserweight champion when this game was released, and had been so for nearly 5 months. I still believe Noble would have been a positive addition despite being out of the window of inclusion, which explains the base character model being included. Jacqueline. Jacqueline is someone who wasn't featured much on the WWE television during the development of this game, and arguably the lowest in terms of card positioning on this list. What she does have, however, is tenure over anyone mentioned as well. Jacqueline was a regular part of the women's division during the Attitude Era, and a former women's champion to boot. In late 2001 and throughout most of 2002, Jackie found herself a mainstay on Heat, often challenging for the women's championship against the likes of Trish Stratus, Molly Holly, and Jazz, all 3 of whom were included into SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Jacqueline certainly wasn't someone afraid to put themselves out there, and her work alongside Crash Holly and years later the Cruiserweight division will leave her in an exclusive group of women. The collection of women in this game features only 8 playable characters, and while this isn't a small class compared to some games, still has plenty of room to include a veteran to the company like Jacqueline. Honorable mentions: Rey Mysterio and Christopher Nowinski. Rey Mysterio is one of the most polarizing and recognizable WWE superstars of this century. His debut in July of 2002 would leave him on the outside looking in at this roster inclusion window. Rey had a long body of work from his days at WCW, and his talent was never in question, as he would immediately share the spotlight alongside Kurt Angle at SummerSlam, and then teaming with Edge for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Despite his instantly met warm reception from the crowd, as well as the opportunities given through his booking, making his debut in late July did not provide enough turnaround to make the adjustments needed to include the Master of the 619 into this game, even if he was an established talent at the time of his arrival. Christopher Nowinski is the final name we'll cover in this video, and he is also the 3rd character model included in the Wrestler Creation Suite. Nowinski would make his television debut in early June of 2002, making his mark as a heel on Raw. During this time, Nowinski would take part in tag team competition or low-card singles matches against the likes of Tommy Dreamer, Spike Dudley, and Maven. Nowinski's in-ring career would be short-lived, though his impact on the industry would be extended after he played a pivotal role in the discovery of CTE cases amongst various athletes, leaving a lasting impact despite his in-ring career only lasting a couple years. With the massive influx of talent coming into the WWE at this time, there are plenty of names that didn't make this list that you could make a case for. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and check out more of our roster omission videos that you can see here. But that's going to do it for me in this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.